We'll start from now.
Okay. Yeah, hello and welcome to this year's conversation on International Sculpture Day. And I'm really delighted that you're joining us and our exchange this year. In 2021, for the first time, I have invited international women sculptors to connect and to inspire and to empower each other. So this year, we are a group of sculptors from the UK, from Norway, from Romania, from the Netherlands, and from Germany. And we are very lucky to have Sarah Monk moderating our conversation. And yeah, thank you, dear Sarah. And I hereby hand over to you.
Hello, everyone. Well, my name's Sarah Monk, and I produce a podcast called Materially Speaking, where artists and artisans tell their stories through the materials they choose. And for the last 3 years, I've specialized in talking with sculptors in the area of northern Italy around Pietrasanta, talking about their work in stone. And I'm delighted that Monica approached me 4th year running to facilitate, moderate today's talk. And today's talk, we've picked a theme of sequences. And everybody's going to interpret this differently, I'm sure. So first, I'd like to go around and introduce everybody else who's here, and then we'll start with the talk. So first of all, we have Eufrosina Sabiescu. Hi, Eufrosina.
Hello. Hi.
She's from a Romanian sculptor currently living in Vienna in Austria. And secondly, Anne-Claire van der Elshout. Hi, Anne-Claire.
Hi, everybody.
Anne-Claire is a Dutch sculptor. Isabel Langtry, who is a British sculptor.
Hi.
Hi, Isabel. Marit Lyckander. Hi, Marit.
Hello.
Marit is a Norwegian sculptor. And Monica Maya, who is a stone sculptor from southern Germany. So let's go around and everybody can tell us what sequences means to them and their work. Let's start with Eufrosina, if we may. And first of all, we'll have a look at a couple of pieces of her work, and then she can talk to us.
So I will share the screen. You see?
Yes.
Do you want me to go through your piece?
Yes, please. Yes.
Lovely.
Thank you so much, Monica.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Sarah. And I'm very grateful to be here. And it's great to be in such amazing company, I have to say. I'm very happy. About sequences, I would like to start by noting a difference between series and sequences in my body of work. Usually these terms are interchangeable in many ways, but through my work process, I have noticed that they are different to me. For many, many years, I struggled with not having a studio where to create my sculptures. And what I would do is just sketch or note down an idea. And when given the opportunity, I would bring it to life. However, not at all times I could get back in the mood that fostered that idea. And that would result in a dissociation between the creative product, the created product, and the creative mind. The sculptures would belong to the same team and to the same series, but at the same time, I could not feel a flow between them, so to say, a proper connection. That all changed when I started to work continuously. I would begin a work, and during the work process, I would find myself moving away from the initial sketch and transforming the sculpture into something that I haven't even thought of before. And then I would begin the next one and the next one on an almost, let's say, instinctual level without any prior planning or sketching or decision making. And it was pure artistic flow. And that's when I realized it's really not about creating a series of sculptures. It's about sequences, about how one leads to the other and how one is born out of the other. And that was simply fantastic to see how the creative mind can manage that on its own, given the right circumstances. And it was a fantastic and very joyful experience for me. I don't know if any of you experienced something like this, but it was really amazing. I could also talk a little bit of my particular works and the sequences that I've noticed in them. I mostly carve waters out of alabaster, and the waves themselves are sequences presented in stone. Sometimes they can repeat the same lines, the same movements, or the same volumes, or at times they can take it further or even disrupt the sequence. And I think the disruption of a sequence is equally interesting and worth purchasing. As it was explained to me by the artisans in Volterra, Italy, alabaster is formed by pockets of water trapped inside the earth. And this is actually why it's translucent. It still has water in its chemical composition. And the concept behind my works, what I'm trying to do, is free these waters, letting them run again, letting them flow again. And it leads to very beautiful sequences throughout my work. And I really delight in playing with the sequences. It's really a joyful opportunity for me to manifest them in stone. Yes.
I think it's wonderful, Eufrosina, that the material talks to you so clearly. You know, that you are manifesting the material itself in your work. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Isabel. Yes. In the end, I could add a few words about the disruption in sequences. I mean, a disruption of sequence can obviously be a disruption of the lines or of the movement, but also a disruption of the work process. And that happens with alabaster because it's very fragile. It has many sand infestation, and a piece can actually break apart. And that is obviously a major disruption then. But most of the time, if not at all times, it led to a better work. And I think it was just like a reset of the brain, this disruption. And I really, really enjoy it. And I felt grateful for it. So disruption can also be beneficial. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing how you interpret sequences in your works as well.
Thank you so much. That was really interesting. Well, shall we move to Anne-Claire? Anne-Claire, tell us about your work.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here with you. Hello, everybody listening. I'm Anne-Claire. I grew up in Holland, and when I decided to leave my career as a lawyer, moved to Italy to live between the hills and the sea and the marble of Carrara. Sequences. When you walk on the beach in Italy, or anywhere, I think, sometimes you see the most beautiful sculptures on the sand made by the sea, line after line. And since I was a little girl, been intrigued by them. Anyway, I studied law, became a lawyer. One day I decided to stop and continue my passion for sculpting. And I used to make my models in clay. And my sculptures would be a sequence of the connection from fingertips and what happens, not here, but in your belly. And then one day in Carrara and in Pietrasanta, the robot made his entry. And I thought, oh my God, that's awful. That's awful, awful, awful. My partner, who's a sculptor too, immediately got his hands on it and started working with it. And I continued in my little world with my fingertips and my belly. But anytime he had a piece of marble carved by the robot, I found myself looking at the lines one after the other. And one day I thought, but then most of the sculptors would use it and then polish all these lines away to get to their form. And I thought, but the lines are so beautiful. They are like what the sea did to the sand. So hence my first, or one of my first sculptures, which you can see on the first picture. Monica, if you could show that to everybody.
Yeah.
It's as
one.
Yes, that's the one. It's a sculpture made from white marble from Vietnam. And the lines, as you can see, follow up one on each other. There's a sequence in it. And I decided to play with them, as I was once told by my drawing teacher, who said, any line you like, you leave. Any line you don't like, you get rid of it. And I applied that on the piece made by the robot. And that was a fantastic experience because I could still find my curves and shapes, but I would leave the signs of the robot that I liked, that presented for me line after line that was sculpted like by the sea on the sand. Monica, if we move to the next picture, I will tell you about, yes, that one. This is a series of portraits of heads of people I have been interviewing and photographing during the COVID times, because I was interested and by people's emotions and thoughts about what was happening towards this virus, towards what governments did to fight it. And there were all sorts of emotions, from angriness to happiness, a child that didn't have to go to school. And for years, there had been the printer that prints plastic. But in the beginning of COVID, I discovered that there was an Italian firm that made printers that printed clay. And it's like a machine that gives out the clay layer by layer. And layer by layer is like the sequences in our lives. We are created. We were an embryo, we got a baby, we got bigger, 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 more thoughts, more emotions maybe. But these portrait sculptures are constructed layer after layer. Like a tree is like we are. I don't know where we are on time, but I think I've said quite a lot.
You want to show
lovely. Yes, there's one more slide, I think. Should we go to that, Monica?
Yeah.
Yes, good idea.
And then if anybody has any comments, I think the work is beautiful.
So in the last slide, you can see one of the heads in a close-up. And you can also see the mistakes the machine makes, or mistakes, irregularities. And in the beginning, I was fighting with that. Like every line had to be perfect on the other. And then I thought, no, fuck, life isn't perfect. We are not perfect. So they don't have to be perfect. And you can see at her nose, at her mouth, at her chin is missing something. But it's still the image and the emotion of her scaredness by the virus comes out really well.
It's fantastic. Thank you so much, Anne-Claire. Thank you very much indeed.
I want to just add that I really like it, like you started and talking about the sand and the shapes that are, you know, on in the sand with the waves. And this looks just like it's coming out from the sand, just being shaped by something that's coming and going. So yeah, thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you so much, Monica.
Yes, it's very natural.
Yeah.
Very natural. It's like the circle of nature.
Mhm.
Isabel, can we move to you now? Isabel Langtry.
Hi, everyone. Very nice to be here in this space. And thanks to Monica, our founder, and ISA for creating this opportunity. I'm in London. I'm a London-based sculptor, but I travel around quite a lot making things. And if we go to my first image, please, Monica, you'll see this is a very early work. So I am very conscious that I work in sequences or in series. And this is a piece that I made many years ago for a school here in central London. And what's lovely to see in everybody's work so far is that, we have this very intuitive response to material, and the material works for us in very certain ways. And that is a wonderful thing. So when I started this particular series, and I do jump around, because but I often return to very, very similar shapes. So this shape all started with looking when I investigated trees. So in this particular commission for a London school had some very significant historic trees in it. And I looked at how those trees grow, how they form. And I just reduced it down to my sort of, an emotionally responsive shape, I suppose, but a shape that worked with space, a shape that worked in nature. And I hope a space that worked with that particular space. And that's very important to me, that the sculptures that are required fit and reflect that space. Next slide, please, Monica, thank you. So that sculpture was called Tres. It means three in Spanish for obvious reasons. I often work with this three, and I've made many things about the Fibonacci series, and that figures quite a lot in other series of work that I do. So in this installation piece, this is called Oxygen. This is a piece which will go to Vienna actually next year, and this is all about how trees interact with nature. So as well as the dynamics of space, the way that form works for us as sculptors, the way that you play around that, the manipulation of form. I've introduced lots of different materials here. They are found objects, they are found materials, which I embed in this series called Oxygen. And there is that you could read it in quite a literal way. It is about the discarding, that our society has done so casually, that we're now really trying to address. It's about the importance of living organisms in our environment and as ourselves, as living organisms ourselves. So this is this piece. So it's in interpreting this idea in a different way with many different materials, and many of which I've simply found and constructed around this idea. Next image, please, Monica. This is a new public sculpture that is here in London. It's in Berkeley Square, and again I'm working with this particular shape. It's often a very subconscious kind of response to the environment I'm working in. But again, in Berkeley Square here in London, there are some very significant historic trees, and it is really, although this shot is taken at night, it is a very busy area. In the daytime, you can see how the trees are actually reflected in the mosaic work. So the light has this wonderful effect on the surface, which I suspected might be the case, but actually the reality of it is even better than I had anticipated, because it is a very reflective material. So I think that there's this particular series for me, and I jump around. You know, the first piece I showed you was made 20 years ago. You know, this is a shape that kind of dominates my mind, that fits a lot of materials, and each material I use demands its interpretation in different ways, and that's really important to me. So if I'm working in steel, like the piece behind me I made for the Olympics in Beijing, that is a response to the material itself, which tries to play with the formality of shape in space, you know, and the sculptural concerns that I have. So I think Julian Schnabel said something really interesting about Picasso's work, and he said Picasso's work is really a diary. And I think that that's true for so many of us, you know, that our work is plotting our personal history and maybe reflecting, you know, who we are in certain time. So very nice to see everybody. Lovely to work with you guys, and see you soon.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Well, Marit, may we turn to you now and find out what you have to say about sequences in your work?
Yes, hello, I'm Marit Lyckander. I'm educated in Oslo and from Oslo, but I ended up in the granite area in the southeast of Norway, not so far away from the stone industry. Very convenient. Well, to talk about the sequences, I can see that some of my series of the sculptures have sequences in them. There are movements, and there's also time involved. I have even made a sculpture, big stone departed in 3 pieces, so and you can actually crawl through all the pieces in the sculpture. Maybe see the first photo now.
Go.
Whoops.
The first one.
The first one.
This one, yes.
Yeah.
And this is the one you can actually go over or under. This is from an exhibition in Milano, the very busy walking street, Corso Emanuele in Milano, from the exhibition on Norwegian sculptors. And then I could immediately see that people changed their directions while they were walking and went straight through the sculpture. It's made of granite with these strange things in that I found so beautiful in this hard, rough stone. Next photo, please. Yeah, here I made a series of sculptures that I call Inside, and this is from the first 5 of the series. I had a big exhibition in the Vigeland Museum in Oslo, and at the opening in the vernissage, I made a performance together with a dancer and a musician, and they dance in and out the sculptures to show the audience that it was possible to do so. Then it's, I mean, the sequence is so clear in that. The next photo. Yeah, here is the big inside number 6. It is the sculpture that Monica spoke about in one of your earlier discussions in your talk for 2 years ago, I think. I placed it. It is in a big field in south of Germany after a symposium, the last symposium they made there in Oggelshausen, and I placed it with the entrance on the backside. So only the people that are curious enough to go through around the sculpture, we discover the entrance, and be able to really understand, like Monica did. Really, thank you, Monica. Maybe I can talk without photos now, because my sculptures is related to my body, and I often make the measurements in my body, with my body, not with the centimeters talk, and in a distance of time I can see what I want to tell with my sculptures. I want to maybe it's a way of living a life, as you, Isabel, also was into, and we have our own life, and for me it has been more to overcome difficultness in life, or also challenges in life. You can read it in the titles of all the series I made, like Further, Over, Under, Through, Towards, Inside. I want it to impress your body as well as your mind when you accept the invitation from these sculptures. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I have to say, to add this, because the sculpture on the last picture, I really was in there. And this is why I connected Marit, because it was just like a milestone in my life to go inside and to experience this insight in space, which was so much energetic and related with my body. So this is really working what you want.
Yes, I can remember you talking about it too. I can remember. Lovely, Monica. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your work and sequences now?
Yeah, sure. It made me think a lot, and thank you, Isabel, for suggesting this subject. And when you suggested it, I had to look it up in my dictionary, what this would say. And first, I saw that the sequence appeared in a musical context, and I liked that thought, because I thought, when I look on my whole body of work, every sequence has like an own sound. And then I tried to look on the sequences related to the sound that they make for me. And every sequence shows something different. So I will show you the first sequence. So this was in 2003. Every sequence is almost lasting like a decade. And in this sequence is about breaking open, about breaking apart, about wanting to dig inside and discover the inside of the stone, and then of reassembling. So I split stones apart and put the different parts together again, just to create new perspectives and new insights. And this time I worked mainly with machines and with splitting stones. And I was fascinated by the energy that of the stones when they are splitted, because they build up a lot of tension, and then there comes this sound before they split, and every stone is splitting in a different way, and every fracture has its own dynamic, and you can plan it a little bit, but you cannot not plan everything. And so there's always something that's unpredictable, which we all have to handle in life. So yeah, And then after that, there was the next sequence about, and it was my casting sequence. And that's, the castings are made of collected stones, and they are collected like all over, everywhere. Some are like related to a specific place, but most of them are just collected all over the world. And for this sculpture, like over 250 people collected stones all over, especially Europe, but also around the world. So in this sequence is like about connecting, collecting, connecting to the earth, bringing things together and connecting them and giving a new form or a new shape in the sculpture. So this and the shapes in this sequence, they became much more soft than before. Before it was very straight and constructed, and now the forms became soft. And after this sequence, I came back to my old craft, which is the stone carving. And I did dive into the work with stone in a new way, because I understood stone in another way as a matter. And what really touched me was that the word matter comes from the Latin mater, and this means mother. And so I thought maybe this is why we are so attracted by stone, that it gives like the feeling of connection and being carried. So this sequence for me is about trust and devotion, and about softness and sensuality and stillness. So this is where I am in, and this is continuing. I don't know where this will go.
Lovely.
It's really beautiful.
Can I say, Monica, that I think we really connected when you over that sculpture you made around the world, you know, because it has meant a lot to me, that sculpture, and it has, I can't tell you how many students here at the art school that piece of work influenced that year that we connected. We connected just during COVID, and I was researching artists' work to inspire my students. It was a project called Get Creative, HSOA, and that has been really meaningful. Monica, thank you.
Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you. Yeah.
Lovely. Well, I just wanted to mention what sequences mean to me, because I guess, you know, in preparing for this, I've thought about the podcast series that I do, and I realized I have a sort of historical reflection, I think, in my work. And so the program that's coming out next week will be about the restoration of the acoustics in Notre Dame, and which of course is dependent on the materials, the stone, so many factors. But actually the real appeal was that my father was a craftsman and made 16th century musical instruments that were played in Notre Dame to accompany Plainsong, the serpent. And I guess I was revisiting my past with this program too. So we played with some French serpent players who performed inside a simulator at the Sorbonne to see what the sound would have been like in Notre Dame. And I just wanted to say that I think with all of my creative work, I always find I'm revisiting and scratching something from my past. And it is almost like a circle in itself that I'm revisiting, and it's cathartic, it's fulfilling. I don't know if anybody else finds that they're sort of revisiting stuff or cycling through stuff, but that's how sequences and work lie with me. So does anyone have any last comments? And then I think we're just going to say thank you and happy International Sculptors Day. Does anyone have any last things they want to say?
Just thank you, actually, everyone, because it's been really enlightening and very inspiring to speak with you. So thank you.
Lovely. Well, thank you. Oh, sorry. Did you want to say something, Marit?
Only thank you. It's inspiring, yes.
Okay, well, thank you.
Same here, same here. I really enjoyed this, and
It
lovely
was,
to hear all your stories.
it was great meeting you all.
Good. Well, thank you, Eufrosina and Claire, Isabel, Marit, and Monica. You can discover more about everybody and their work from their websites or their social media, and we'll be listing those below the video when it's posted. And happy International Sculptor Day to everybody. Until the next time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.